Three, two, one. Hello, welcome to ladies and gentlemen, and friends and neighbors and everybody in between.
It is 8:30 in Vienna, which means it is time for
It should be about something. That's right.
Today is the 13th of January, 2022.
Yes, this is episode 58. Michael?
Jim,
How was your week?
how was your week?
Hello!
While we update each other about what our week was like, why don't you leave us some comments in the chat about
Yeah.
what your week was like, right? And I mean, really do.
Yeah.
Drop us a line about what your week was like.
Exactly.
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Yes. Our week was like our sartorial choices tonight. My week was like our sartorial choices tonight.
Okay, I think this is a good moment to start drinking.
Yeah, we
Like right here.
we should just, before we even, okay, screw it. Let's do it.
Yeah, screw it.
Let's do it. Slurp, slurp, everybody.
Slurp, slurp, everybody.
La, la, la.
Hey, freshly made drinks there. Mm-hmm. I'm having vodka today.
Today?
Yeah,
Today you're having vodka?
having vodka with ginger beer. But I was actually thinking I might change my drink. Maybe I'll go with beer for the next couple of weeks.
My goodness.
We'll see.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this thing go
I'm
away.
feeling like mixing it up.
You should mix it
So
up.
you were going to tell me about your week.
My week was pretty good. I went away for a couple of days to a place, and then I came back from that place. Yeah,
Yeah. Did you stay in a hotel?
I did.
Was it unsatisfactory?
It was.
We'll get into this a bit later, I think.
I think we might have to get into this a bit later.
Yeah, I was visiting my in-laws.
Yeah?
We stayed in a hotel as well. It was very unsatisfactory.
Was it unsatisfactory?
The photographs of the hotel online were taken in wide cinemascope.
Yeah.
And when we got there, we found out it's like cropped 3x4.
Yeah, so
It was
they
it was so terrible.
they just didn't have that Photoshop button for real life, unfortunately.
No, I think everybody just does that on purpose
Yeah.
to make their shit look super duper.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've started developing an eye for, you look at something, you think, yeah, that's taken with that and that lens on it.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, it's going to be 2/3 of what it is.
Yeah.
But like this was, it looked like an estate room.
Right.
The room we were in.
And then you
for
get
the
in-
price we were paying,
Was an
I was
estate
expecting
room.
it to be an estate room, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we walked in, and it was smaller than our own room, right? And we were like, this is this is not what we signed up for. And we'd already paid
No.
cash down at the reception, right?
Oh, motherfuckers. That's how they get you. That's exactly how they get you.
Yeah, and 2 days later going to breakfast, we saw one room that was the right size. The right size with the furniture that wasn't...
The room they took the picture of.
The room they took the picture of, kind of. Maybe there was only one on the floor that actually had the right size.
So-
And I mean, all the furniture was like 30 years old. No, I'm saying all the furniture was 50 years old, 60 years old, right? With dings and dongs and like all the edges were knocked off the door frames and stuff like that.
It was a Chippendale.
It was a...
It was,
good one.
at first it was just a Dale, but now it's a Chip and Dale. I did have something very cool happen to me this week, however.
Cool.
And that is, I have continued on my journey of the SVS, the Sozialversicherungsservice, which is our health service, and I'm doing all of these
Oh, you're doing all the
things.
checkups. You're getting all your holes prodded.
Getting all my holes prodded, and next week, I'm going to the doctor to put a camera up my butt. That's right.
Ooh.
I'm going to have the paparazzi following me all day.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to get the inside scoop on Jim Libby.
The poopy scoop.
The poop scoop.
Inside poopy scoop.
It's going to be the poop scoop,
The poop sloot.
the poop sloot.
They're going to be looking up your poop sloot.
And what was really funny was I had to fill out, this thing, and are you taking medication, and have you ever had this? And one of the questions was, more or less, do you have a sensitive bum? Like what's your pain threshold
They didn't ask me that.
for your bum? And I left it blank.
Right. Because you didn't know?
Because I didn't know. And so the doc is going along, and then she says, oh, you left this one blank. And I said, yeah, I left that blank on purpose. What's the...
Like, could you give me a reference?
Yeah, like what's the measuring stick we're looking at here? What's the... I don't have a lot of experience with the stuff in my
Getting
bum.
prodded anally.
Yeah, I have lots of friends that have that experience, and Maybe I could ask. I was a little concerned.
What did she say?
Well, she kind of looked at me as I was explaining this, and I could see her smile under the mask because I was like, I've had stuff on my bum and around my bum. I've even had some stuff between my bum, and I don't have a lot of experience with it. So I guess
was the interview with the doctor who's actually going to do the colonoscopy?
Well, no, it'll be some technician that does it, but and then she's looking at me. She was like, "Well, what do I put down?" And basically, I just looked at her. I was like, "Well, put yeah."
So I think
put yes because
right, because it's about, are they going to give how many drugs are they going to give you? How many painkillers are they going to give you?
She just finished telling me all the stuff that could go wrong, and all the stuff that's going to be going up and around in the corners and the stuff.
You want to have all the drugs.
I say, I figure, be as nice to Masloot as possible.
Yeah, and I want to be sleeping while you do it.
I want to have all the good drugs. I want to have all of the care taken.
Right.
If the paparazzi is going to be up in my business, all up in my butt.
You do realize that now that we're talking about colonoscopies, this show has gone from semi post youthful euphoria to old man show, like in a snip of a moment.
In 58 episodes, we've gone from hopeful to old man shiz.
Okay, good. Well, we can review your colonoscopy.
Yeah.
We can take notes. Because I had my first colonoscopy last year, and I don't have to go for another 5 years. So.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, they've already. It was also after I was finished with all of that, I had to go down, and they gave me a mittel that I have to take on Wednesday.
Yes. It's going to empty you out.
It's going to empty me out, and so she hands me this box. The woman behind the counter hands me the box, and she just looks at me with this very serious face, and she says, "Es wird alles rauskommen."
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she says, "Sei zu Hause."
Yes.
Es wird alles rauskommen.
Good. Yeah.
Be at home.
Yeah.
Everything's coming out. Yeah. And then her colleague,
like do nothing that day or the day after, right? Kind of thing.
So. I've put it into my calendar because for 4 days before this happens, I'm supposed to eat certain foods, not eat certain foods, certain and things, and then the procedure.
The diet that you're supposed to keep during those 4 days leading up to the colonoscopy is kind of weird. It's like you can eat bread and meat, but you're not allowed to eat vegetables or something like that.
Yeah, there's a whole thing. In any case, I'm calling it the procedure because it starts like at 6 o'clock and you have to take the first thing, and then at 8 o'clock. And I've never gone through any of this before, and I'm really excited about it. She says everything's going to come out, and her colleague starts laughing and says, "Auch the Kaugummi?" And I'm like, auch the,
that chewing gum that you've had in there for 25 years.
Yeah, I ate some chewing gum when I was, is that coming out? Yes. The Lego man that I swallowed at 8? Yeah, that's coming out. It's all coming out.
The tree that's growing in your belly? Yeah.
The next day will be our next show, so.
Good, okay, so we can talk about it. Yeah. So you'll be all cleaned up.
I might even have some show and tell pictures.
Cool. Let's talk to anal penetration.
Yes.
A drink to anal penetration.
Slurp to anal penetration.
So, who's here? We've got follower.
Let's say hi.
We've got Marcus.
We got follow. Yeah, we got Mark. We got Christina Lasmoelik in the house. Hello, cutie. Verena is in the house. Everybody, wave to Verena. Verena, wave at the screen.
Got somebody here's I don't know. Debieso Rupesh.
I think that's probably one of those bot guys again. One of those robots. Marcus is here. Very cool.
Don't confuse it. It's about drinking. Philly Girl 1000's here.
Philly Girl?
So, Philly Girl, yes. I don't know. You're a nurse, so maybe you have first-hand experience of this, but the colonoscopy you get here, they kind of give you something that puts you out for about 15 minutes. Yeah,
they said the whole thing takes very shortly, but I'm not supposed to go home by myself.
You kind of, yeah. But it's nice drugs actually.
I'm psyched for it. It's going to be awesome.
It's nice drugs.
It's going to be awesome. I saw something here. Verena said something. She tried being a clown for a few days. How did that go?
Are you joining
Get your clown
one of those hospital clowning
Oh,
things?
didn't she mention something about that?
No, I don't think she
I don't
did.
think
but
she
maybe.
did. Okay.
Drop us a line, Verena. What's the clown thing?
Yeah, let us know how the clown thing went.
No, you can drink without watching Isbaz, and when it's not Thursday. No, you can't drink without watching Isbaz, and you can't drink when it's not Thursday.
It's January.
I have a new drink.
Dry January. Dry January.
Shut
except
up,
for
Jim.
Thursdays. Everybody does dry January.
It's dry January. It's not a thing. So I have a new drinking regimen.
You have a regimen
I have
now.
a new drinking regimen.
It's a regimen. All right.
My new drinking regimen is so. My new drinking regimen is this. Previously, it was my intention to last as long as possible, right? Kind of pace myself through the night, drink some water, and not drink too much booze too quickly. Now, my new drinking regimen.
What's the regimen?
Yeah, is get as drunk as possible, as quickly as possible, then go home and sleep. Because as soon as
Wait a minute.
as soon as those kids are here, I'm going to need all the sleep I can get.
So,
right? And drunk sleep is particularly good sleep because you don't get woken by stuff.
you don't dream. Okay.
No,
I
want to get drunk as fast as possible and then pass out.
So your regimen is go to the party, get super drunk really fast,
Imbibe as much as possible, get in a taxi and go home.
make a good impression, and get out.
Exactly.
I love it. I think I did that a couple of times. It's just I never got out in time.
Ah.
It's
I remember all the times you did this. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Dormicum. Dormicum sounds like a proper medicine.
Is that the drug you're getting?
Twilight sleep, a little versed, maybe.
Twilight sleep. Yeah.
A little versed. I don't know if that's a typo, Philly girl, but I love it. A little versed to sleep, perchance to dream.
I think
a twilight sleep.
Dämmerschlaf is twilight sleep.
Yeah, but a little versed, maybe. And the verse is from Shakespeare. That's what I'm going for there.
Yeah.
But you don't listen to me when I talk. You read.
I try not to.
Yeah. So that's the week.
Druckbetankung.
And the week has been good.
All my drinking from now on is going to be pressure filling.
Isn't it called polish?
What's called polish, Marcus?
No, what he's talking about is the Polish Abgang.
Oh.
Which I think is interesting because in every country, what they call that is a different thing.
It's somebody else they don't like.
Right. In Austria,
it's French.
It's the French.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's the Polish. In
Polish exit.
Yeah.
That's Jim's getting a whole thing on his Polish exit actually next week.
I'm going to get my Polish polished. It's going to be an Anschluss. All right, listen, we need to move on.
Oh, God.
They're going to Polish my...
Ooh.
The paparazzi is going to be in town. Versed is a drug.
Oh. Is a drug. Oh.
But versed, I want to get versed.
But it might
I want you to put me to sleep with your poetry.
Yeah.
Put me to sleep with your poetry.
Okay. Enough of this crap.
Enough of this crap.
These people did nothing this week.
Except trying to become a clown.
Trying to become a clown.
I think that's interesting.
I think that is interesting, actually.
And whatever DeBazio Rapesh has got going on, I'm in. Let's do this. The Vumnagog. Look,
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everyone in between. Isbaz is a really fun show, and we're glad that you're joining us. If you are joining us for the first time and you haven't gotten onto the chat, please do. All these folks are super, super fun. It's the nicest chat this side of the VPN highway. Also, our show comes to you in 3 parts. That's right. We call them chapters. And this one is chapter number 1. On childhood games. What the hell do we mean by this?
I don't know. What the hell did you mean by this? It's your idea.
Wow, did you see how fast that went? Went from we to you really quick. So the idea on childhood games is, what were your favorite games that you made up? What were just like the games that took up so much of your time, but it wasn't chess or checkers, but like, what were your favorite games? Like
there's those games that you inherit on the school ground.
Yeah. Like, were you a Foursquare person, or were you, did you play Tiddlywinks? Did you play marbles? Did you play balloon volleyball with your mom? Which I did, and I loved it. Anytime I could get my mom to play balloon volleyball, keep the balloon up, that would be awesome. So, what were your favorite childhood games, the shit that you did with the kids in the neighborhood or by yourself? Boom, that's what we're talking about. What do you got, Michael?
I thought you were going to give us the down low on what your thing was.
Okay, so I've got some really fun childhood games. One of the ones that I inherited as a kid was Foursquare. So in my school, my elementary school in Hollis, and if you ain't never been to Hollis, don't come to Hollis, because you ain't only going to stand Hollis. In Hollis, we played Foursquare, and on the playground you had painted onto the tarmac a big square split into 4 squares.
I think I've played this.
And then you had one of those big playground balls, those red rubber balls that were a little textury on the outside, and sometimes they were a little.
With tennis. I think we played it with a tennis ball.
Okay, well we played it with these big red rubber playground balls.
I forgot how it goes.
Well, each square was numbered by us. You had 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 4th square was the king square. That's the square that stayed. And you loved that square. The square number 1 was where you came into. And then you had a line of kids waiting to play.
So you had more than 4 players.
So you had more than 4 players. And the 4th square would always serve. And depending on what version of Foursquare you were playing, the game would go, you're passing the ball has to bounce inside that square.
Inside your square.
Inside yours. Well, it has to bounce inside a square.
In the big square, right. Okay.
And then you have to return it. If you miss the ball, depending on what version you're playing, then you're out, and everybody shifts around, and then somebody can come in. And if you get to stay in the 4 square for a long time, you're the king of the game, right? Or the queen of the game. So, and there were, as I said, there were different versions.
And the 4th square always gets to serve.
And the 4th square always gets to serve. And now, as I said, there were different versions. So in our school, you had one faction that loved to play highsies. So highsies was, you still had the 4 squares, but you would start way back. You would run
serve like that.
Up. You would run up to the line. So like I'm in number 1 square, I would run to 4th square, which is right in front of me, and bounce it with 2 hands overhead in their square. And then they would have to run and catch it. And then they would run as fast as they could to bounce it in somebody else's square. Okay, so that was highsies.
Right.
And you had to catch it if you missed it, or if you didn't, you're out. Then there was whipsies. And whipsies was for the older kids. You had whipsies for the older kids, and you had friendlies for the younger kids. Whipsies was, I'm still serving, right? But instead of bouncing it really high or just sort of patting it like friendlies into the thing, you would take it and sort of one-handed, or if you couldn't, with 2 hands, like a low angle, sort of whip it into the person's square. And it had a very different trajectory and a speed.
So you're giving it top spin.
You can give it top spin, you can give it back spin, you could, but it's low and it's fast. So it was like, I catch it here, and then maybe I take the time to run up, but then I could fake them out and do, not a super whipsy, but like.
How big the whole total square was?
Yeah, it was, maybe 4 meters by 4 meters.
4 meters by 4 meters.
Maybe 5 meters by 5 meters. Not that big. It was.
Yeah, but that's still pretty big.
Yeah, but you're outside,
so you're standing in a square that's like 2 by 2. Or 2.5 by 2.5.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's your field. So you had friendlies, you had whipsies, and you had highsies. And when I was a kid in my elementary school back in Hollis, I came up with a version called Semi-Friendlies, which was like a mix.
This is where he invites everybody from the neighborhood for drinks first.
Yeah, thanks. Wow. You're on a tear tonight. So Semi-Friendlies was halfway between Friendlies and Whipsies. It was like a really fast-paced game. You couldn't actually hold it to whip it. You had to sort of like scoop it. It was sort of like in volleyball, you know, bridging it a little bit. And so it was faster than Friendlies, but it wasn't as, you know, big kid and mean as Whipsies. And it was so much fun. I have a scar on my wrist. Still, there's a little faintness when I get sweaty in the summertime and I tan. You can still see it. This little white scar here that I got playing Semi-Friendlies, diving on the tarmac, you know, to get the ball to smash it in. And then my little pride was stroked because years later, I went back to my school in Hollis and they were still playing Semi-Friendlies.
Cool.
They didn't know that I was the one that came up with it, but
and they didn't care when you told them. They did not care at all. And I told them. I told them the whole story, just like I told you, and very much like you, they didn't care either. No, I know you guys care. That was a childhood game I loved. I think I've said this before on the show. One of the favorite childhood games that I had was mudclod fights.
Mudclod fights, yeah.
And we did that a lot. That was like a highlight.
We played
finding a field with good mudclods was like a highlight of the year.
Yeah, but your mudclod fights, I mean, that was all very violent. Like,
yes.
Before the show, we talked.
But I changed schools.
Right.
After the mudclod school, I went to a new school.
Right.
And on the first day, I'm 10 years old. I'm 9 years old.
Yeah.
And on the first day in my new school, the kids are like, so come on out to the playground with us. And we main break. And I'm like, yeah. So we go out and I'm like, so what are we playing? We're going to beat up the other class. And I'm like, okay. So I have some judo practice, right? And you know, I don't know how to wrestle, stuff like that. And these kids are like, they get into this fucking fist fight. It's like swinging punches and bloodied lips. That's the game that these kids played every fucking day.
Unfucking-believable.
It's like I went from mudclods, which was fairly violent, to really wow. And I was kind of standing on the outside. Boy, this is.
That's hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah.
And your parents just said, "That's it. Stay in that school."
I don't think I told my parents about that as well.
So
then I made friends with the kids in that class who spent break sitting somewhere like way over behind the trees, behind the bushes, reading.
Yeah.
And then for like the next 5 years, I read.
Yeah. Luckily, it was those guys that also started to smoke pot first, so you were in good hands.
Actually, no, it wasn't. But that was the pot smoking was a childhood's schoolyard game kind of thing as well.
Yeah, that came later for me. When I was a kid, we also loved to play capture the flag. We would sometimes just call it guns. As Father of Clay said, in the Eastern Bloc behind the Iron Curtain, only had sticks and stones to play with. Well, that was kind of like growing up in rural Maine as well. We had sticks and stones, and you know, to find that cool stick that looked like a cool Star Wars or you know, whatever kind of thing, that was awesome. And then that eventually became Capture the Flag, where all the kids in the neighborhood would team up, and you know, you'd go and you'd have to capture the other flag, or you capture the kids, and there was sometimes versions with shooting.
I had a friend, William, when I was a kid, I don't know, like 7 or 8, and his dad had a wood workshop.
Right.
And
did he make those cool?
Great to be invited to William's birthday, because his dad would make us toys for whatever game was that day's thing.
Nice.
Right? And I know we were playing Cowboys and Indians, and he made me a rifle, like a wooden rifle, like so long.
So cool.
I had that for years.
Yes.
Like years after that.
And some kids got a bow.
Everybody got, like, some of them got
Pistols.
revolvers.
Yes.
They were all different shapes and sizes. And he, like, made them up in 2 minutes in his wood shop.
Right.
Just, like,
got a bandsaw going. Yeah. Nice.
What do you want? What do you want? And I think he had some shapes up on the wall. He's like, choose one. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Came out with a gun, right?
Do you remember having those wooden kind of guns with a bandsaw cutout and a wooden clothespin? So for the rubber band.
No, what we had was a nail in the front. You could pull the rubber band like this and just go with your finger.
Yeah. That's a good one. But we had them also with same thing, but with a clothespin. So you had the trigger. Oh, so good, so good.
On the subject of that, like my mom
Can we make a
thing.
list? Sorry, can we make a list? Because for the twins when they come, we need this.
Like gay toys.
Yeah, like the day that we just make the guns for them, because that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know any of my friends, even friends that have children. I don't know anybody with a wood shop. But that's the kind of thing that we're
gonna have to get a wood shop.
We could get that together.
This is why I need a house.
Yeah.
My mom had this game that she would make, and it was kind of like it was a little bit magic, yeah, actually, definitely. And it was a game that she had played as a kid.
Right.
And I either got taught by one of her siblings or one of her parents. It was called Traction Engines. And what you needed was a lollipop stick and a yarn reel. You needed a wooden yarn reel and a wooden lollipop stick.
Okay.
And a match and a rubber band.
Okay.
And she had a way of inserting the match into the wooden yarn reel.
Right.
And the lollipop stick so that you could wind it up.
Right.
With the lollipop stick.
Right.
And then you put it down on the ground and it would move on its own.
Oh yeah,
driven by the rubber band.
Yeah. Like making worms out of your straw, like the straw wrapper. You take you get a straw, a plastic straw. There used to be a time where we had plastic straws everywhere, and they would be individually wrapped in paper. Very ecological. I don't know if they still exist. Anyway, you could take the paper of the straw and you put it on the table and you push it down so that the paper is all scrumbled up. And then you put it on the table. Concertinaed. And then you take a little bloop of water with the straw. You can bloop a little bit of water, and then it would kind of go out
I've never seen that done.
Oh yeah. Or you take a straw, plastic straw, and then you wrap it, folding it up, wrapping it, and you put it down, and it goes.
Oh yeah, I've seen that done.
It's the kind of thing Jacob would do at the table
and these
all
are
the time.
These are games that they're pre-Second World War games.
Right.
Because they're things you could make yourself out of shit that you found in the crap drawer in the kitchen.
In the rubble.
Like everybody's gran had this drawer where it was just a drawer full of rubber bands and plastic bags.
The junk drawer.
The junk drawer, right?
Did you call it the junk drawer?
I think it was called the extras drawer.
Awesome. Do you have a junk drawer at your home?
Oh yeah, I have 3.
Do you call it the extras drawer?
No, I call it the crap drawer.
The crap drawer. Yeah. And all 3 are the crap drawer?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. That's a fresh slurp for everybody. If you're counting at home, this is a fresh slurp.
Yeah, I haven't thought about self-made toys in a long, long time.
Right?
There was a game that I liked playing when I was a kid. I think I was about 4, and my gran ruined it for me.
Oh no. Tell us how that.
So we had this huge garden, and there were these sisal cacti.
I'm sorry, what?
A sisal cacti.
A sisal what?
Sisal cactus.
Sisal cactus.
And there's the ones with the...
Like the lenses all over them instead of spikes?
No, they've got these long leaves that point upwards, kind of like agave, but much, much bigger. And then they grow this big stem that can be like 6-8 meters high with a flower on top once a year. Anyway,
Nice.
It doesn't matter.
I like it. I
So,
like it.
so they got these like 2 meter long leaves with thorns on them along the sides.
Okay.
And then there's one big thorn on the end of the of this leaf. Right?
Sounds
and
dangerous.
My game was to make mud balls.
Mud ball. Of course.
Mud balls.
Of course you're making
I
mud
played
balls.
a lot with mud, actually.
You did. That's why your hands are soft.
I spent most of a large portion of my childhood either getting mud on myself, or getting mud off myself again.
Yeah.
When I was
I think a large part of your childhood, your mom spent a lot of time.
No, she didn't.
Getting the mud off.
She would throw us out the back door.
And hose you down?
And when we came back, there was a bucket, and she'd fill the bucket with water, and we had to get in the bucket.
Oh.
Anyway, so I was making these mud balls,
right,
and poking them on the end of all of these cactuses, cacti. I think there might have been 5 or 6 or 10 maybe in this garden, and I had all the cactus leaves with these mud clods. And
you were baby-proofing nature.
That's a good way of looking at it. Anyway, my gran took offense to this.
Of course she did.
Because he was a young man full of dirt, having a good old time in the wet with mud.
How old were you?
I was 4 or 5.
And Gran was
and she was looking. She was watching. She was watching me out the window, and she was like, "Stop doing that."
You there?
She had a bit of a bee in her bonnet about plants and the garden and stuff.
Well, of course, she worked very hard on that thing.
It was not a nice garden. It was not her garden. It was not her garden either. She was visiting. It was our garden. It was my garden. Right?
She worked very difficult. She worked very hard on that garden.
And she's like, "Stop doing that." And I'm like, "But why?"
Can you try to talk like her? How do you remember her? Was she a large? Can you character paint her for me right now?
Very okay. Think old English colonial lady.
Okay. Is she squat?
No.
She long and lean?
No. She's tall and thin.
She's tall and thin. How does she dress? How do you remember her dressing?
Cardigans and flower dresses.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, think anyone called Daphne from a 1940s movie.
Did she have an elegant voice, or was it?
No. It was sort of elegant. Yeah.
Did she have a bright voice, like the Klangstimme? Was it bright?
It was more metallic.
Metallic. Okay.
Because she took offense to a lot of the things that I did.
So she was long.
The voice that I got to hear was
yeah.
Stop doing that. You're doing that again. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember was that your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
My mom's
Your
mom.
mom's mom.
Yeah.
Do you remember your mom and her, how they would be with one another? Do you remember anything about that? Do you have an image of them hugging? Do you have an image?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No. I think so. There were very, very different experiences with her.
Right.
But this was one of the more negative. There was lots of positive experiences as well, but there was these negative sides, right?
My mom's mom also used to yell at me all the time.
But her argument was just so. I got into a fight with her I was 4 years old, and she was like, "Stop putting those mud clods on the end of the cactus."
Right.
And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Well, you wouldn't want to be put on the end of the cactus." And I was like, "That's not an argument. I'm not a mud ball." And she was like, "How would you like to be on the end of a cactus?" And I'm like, "But, Ma, it's mud."
Terrible.
It's a
terrible argument.
It's a horrible argument. She just didn't like the fact that I was having fun with the plants in the garden.
Yeah.
Right?
And what did you call her?
Ma.
Ma.
Okay, because...
Is that what your mom called her?
No. I'm the only one in our family who calls her Ma. Well, my family started calling her Ma because after I was born, my parents worked out of town, and I stayed with her for a long time. I started talking, so I started calling her Ma. And I call my mom.
Ah.
So
what did your mom call her?
Mom.
Mm-hmm. You're not the oldest, though.
Yeah.
You are the oldest. When your brother came,
Now, everybody in my family calls her Ma now.
Everybody calls
I
it
call
because
her
of
Ma.
you.
But nobody
Exactly.
else in our extended family knows who Ma is because they all call her Granny.
They all call, yeah, exactly. I think that's a really interesting thing, and I don't know. I think everybody must have that. Like, you have a relationship to your grandma, but if your grandma had more than one child, then you've got cousins, perhaps.
Who have completely different
and they have a
experiences.
very different relationship to them, and maybe even have different names. And then you're like,
I was talking to my cousin
funny,
Michelle in 2019 when we were down, and she didn't get on with my gran at all. It was like she had a completely different experience of interacting with her. In completely, like everything. They didn't like each other.
Yeah.
They never got along.
Yeah.
There was no love lost between them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had something similar with my mom's mom, and because I was the first as well, I got to choose all of the names. What's happening?
Machado does exactly the same thing.
Who does it?
A cotton reel, a chunk of wax, and a lollipop stick.
Machado, can you show us how that works in the ISBAZ HQ?
And that's such a goddamn good
do
idea.
it-
Having the
do a
carpet
dumb-
as hills. Excellent.
Just do a dumb little video. Just put your phone up to it. I want to see how that works. I want to do that. Oh, I'm a big fan of that one. You know what really works for kids? I love this one. Here, put your hand on my hand. Okay? No, wait, hold on. Yeah. Now, put your hand on my hand. Now, hold it down, but don't move until I tell you, okay? I'm winding up my thumb. Hold it, hold it. Okay, now when I say let go, you let go, okay? But not until I say let go. Okay, you ready? Let go.
Uncle Jim,
6-year-olds love it.
you suck. You suck.
No,
Your,
you
your,
don't
your,
even
your
know.
tricks suck.
You don't even know.
Uncle Jim.
You don't even
Uncle Jim,
know.
your tricks suck.
That's a very good one. I thank you for your support, everyone. In the 6-year-old crowd, it kills. So I had a
Verena, it's yours. Use it in your clown thingy.
They will love it.
They will love it.
They will totally love it.
Do you think the 90-year-olds who have kind of reverted back to their childhood might like that joke?
Yes. Everyone loves that. Only jaded assholes.
Jaded assholes. Yeah. I think that's going to be my tattoo. For 52 years, I've been wondering what is going to be my tattoo, and I think it's going to be jaded asshole.
I think jaded, not faded.
I'm going to get it tattooed on my ass.
Yeah. So I was talking about my mom's mom, but I'm going to stop talking about that now. It doesn't matter anymore. But I think it's a funny thing. In any case, when you go out and your grandma is yucking your yum,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah. It took me a long time to actually get in a groove with her.
Yeah, I bet.
When I was a teenager, we started getting along.
Were you closer to your dad's mom?
Until I was a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was it also a proximity thing?
No.
Okay.
No, they were both far away.
They were both far away.
So we'd get to see them like a couple of weeks every year or something like. Either we went to visit them, or they come to stay with us.
Yeah.
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 Wooden cotton reels. I actually have some wooden cotton reels. It's difficult to find wooden cotton reels, especially these days, but I inherited a whole bunch of sewing equipment from my gran, my Viennese gran.
Oh,
and there's
nice.
wooden cotton reels in that, yeah.
Funny. So, childhood games, I think there are a lot of them. There's one childhood game that I learned as an adult. I was teaching in Memphis back in the day, and we met these, like seniors in high school we were working with. And they played this game where you had 2 fingers, put out your 2 fingers, and if I hit you with one, so now you have 2 fingers there. And now it's your turn, and you can hit me with 2, or now I have 2 fingers here because
so if I
you've
hit
given me
if I hit
1.
you here, that you got 3.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, but you gave me 2 here, right? So now I can hit you with 2 here, and now you have 4, right? And the goal is to get 5 fingers on the other person. So now I have 5, now I lose my hand. And now it's my turn, and I can go here. You got 3 fingers there now, and then you can hit me with 3, I've got 5, and now I lose. And that's basically the game.
Can I pull my hand away?
No.
You can't. Okay.
No.
So it's more like
really.
a mathematical game.
It is a mathematical game,
it's
but there's a couple rules that I haven't taught you yet, but this is the basic of this game. And it was one of those games where when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking brilliant. Why haven't I been playing this my entire life? And I thought, wow, okay, so, you know, there are all these organic things that become Gab und Gebe for people, you know, that just become...
Gab und Gebe?
Gab und Gebe.
Because it gets given?
You know...
It's Gang und Gebe.
Gang und Gebe.
Gang und Gebe, yeah.
Wait, the phrase is Gang
the phrase
und
is Gang
Gebe?
und Gebe, yeah. It's ubiquitous, is Gang und Gebe.
Yeah, I have always said that phrase as Gab und Gebe.
No, it's Gang und Gebe.
It's Gang?
It's Gang.
Factoided.
You got factoided, dude.
Oh, I just got factoided! Dang! That's like, for years I used to say, I thought the phrase was ein und für sich instead of an und für sich.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand in Vienna.
And I would say ein und für sich, and I just thought it was like some weird, like,
metaphor.
I'm at 6 and 7s, or I'm, you know,
right.
Es ist ein und für sich. Weirdly though, whenever I saw the word für
It
sich,
kind of makes sense somehow.
I just figured that's what it was. But weirdly, whenever I saw the word für sich geschrieben, so written, I would always say Pfisch.
Right.
I just had that weird thing, and so I'd be like, yeah, I'd like to have a Pfirschstampfel, you know. But einen Pfirsich, we could do that if you want. You know, it was always Gang.
It's definitely Gang, yeah. Yeah. You live and learn.
I like Gab und Gebe. I'm going to stick with that.
Eastern Bloc, behind the Iron Curtain, sticks and stones to play with.
Yeah. We saw that. And Father of Clay thought it was so funny, my clackety clock, but I think
there was definitely a time when we would go out into the woods and look for sticks and stones that were good for playing golf. Like we play off-road golf with sticks and stones that we find.
Yeah. All kinds of good games, but I think we should call it. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everyone in between. See, I can still do it, sort of. That was chapter 1. Good work, good hustle.
Are we moving on to chapter 2?
We are so moving on.
Cool. So as I try to get drunk as quickly as possible, go home and pass out.
Yes.
Museums.
On museums. Chapter 2, on museums. What do you got?
I'm a big friend of museums.
Love museums.
Wherever I go.
Love museums. Love museums.
I will go and check out a museum.
Check out the museum. Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Always check the museum.
And I'm trying to think of which is my favorite museum experience, and I can't tell you.
Well, hold on a second.
There's a top 10.
Great. Think about that top
least.
10. Let's tell everybody out there, what is your favorite museum experience, or what was the worst museum you ever went to? What's a museum
What would
that
be
you'd
a
like?
museum that you'd like to go to? Like, if you could invent your own museum, what would it be?
That's your challenge. So, I can tell you about one of my favorite museums right now.
Go for it.
One of my favorite museums experiences that I've ever had was the Kafka Museum in Prague. And the Kafka Museum in Prague is less of a museum and truly more of an experience. The dramaturgy that they created in the rooms through lighting, soundscapes, and the individual exhibits was like walking through his mind.
Can you give me an
walking
example
through his history.
of like one of the exhibits?
So
Because like if you say Kafka Museum, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no real there's no stuff you could actually put in that museum. So that museum is all about recreating that world.
well, there is stuff. There
world
was
of Kafka,
wonderful photographs. There were letters
Right,
upon
okay.
letters.
Okay.
The relationship of him and between him and his father is a big part of this.
Right.
His relationship with the woman that he loved is a big part of it, and letters between them and bits of poetry. So there was a lot of written word. There were some wonderful exhibits, so photographs.
Was there like his writing room and his bed and something like you kind of get that?
It was
for
not
authors.
cheesy like that. It was not.
It's not cheesy at all. Actually, I've been to like.
I know what you mean, but that can go into cheesy.
I guess
you
so,
know,
yeah.
or into that historical recreation, which is interesting and fine. You know, like if you're going to Chambron or whatever to see how they lived. Yeah, that's all cool.
What
But
does
it wasn't
Marie
like that. It was
Therese's
very.
writing room look like?
Yeah, exactly. But it was very gediegen. It was very elegant, and they did so much with light, passing through darkness and light, and closing in walls.
So you always feel like you're in the 1,000-room bureaucracy. Like you're always somehow.
Yeah, there's an aspect of that.
That's part of the style.
Absolutely. There were definitely parts of it where the room helped to create that emotional journey. And so that's why I say it was less of a museum and more of an experience, and I can highly, highly recommend it if you're ever in Prague.
Cool.
One of my favorites.
8 hours at the Louvre once. Wow.
Yeah, that's hardcore. I mean, how is your endurance?
Okay, so I used to be somebody who would go into the museum and then spend the whole day there. And
8 hours.
Yeah. But I no longer do that because I become.
Yeah.
There's the point where I can no longer just look at anything.
I agree.
I can't take anything in anymore.
No.
So I prefer to go once and get a ticket and try not to see everything. I try to choose, okay, I want to see this and I want to see that, and then I'll be surprised by 2 or 3 other things, and then really take those in. And when I'm done, and I leave. And maybe I'll just have lunch or a snack or something, and if I feel like it, I'll go back and have a look at something else. But this, like you scrape together your money as a student,
Sure.
and you go to Paris, and you're like in the Louvre, and it's
I got to take it all in.
already been expensive, and like there's 3 floors.
I gotta
see
see it all. Yes.
And that doesn't work for me anymore at all. And I don't. Well, I guess it did work back then, but I don't enjoy doing that.
I hear you, because for
to
me
narrow
back
it
then,
down to things that I want to see.
Absolutely. And I love going with somebody, again, that movie thing, not because I need to interrupt their communion with the art, but to have someone to reflect with, perhaps afterwards, or in between. I love going with somebody to then catch up with them and to hear, to let them tell me what their experience has been, and then maybe I'll go check that thing out too. But to get away, to take a break from it. I've also had that experience where you go to a museum many times and to sit with an artwork many times. And that is incredibly enjoyable sometimes.
So that's something that I do here in Vienna because I've had year passes for the Kunsthistorische Museum, and I go I go all the time and just check it out, check out things, and that's great. And I'll kind of go and see the new special exhibition, and spend 2 hours there, and then go and see 1 or 2 or 3 other things, and spend 20 minutes or maybe a room,
or go and see an old friend
and
say hi.
It was this weird experience that I had in the Kunsthistorisches Museum was I found, and this is like 20 years ago, I found a Reistal, and it was a small one like this, a Rysdale, right? And it was It was a small landscape with a building on it. And I've never found it again.
Because they took it out, yeah.
And I've never found it in a catalog.
Ask them about it.
I've been onto their online catalog and stuff like that, and I've never ever found it again. I can't. Maybe it was on loan from another museum.
Yeah. Ask them about it.
And I'd love to find I've even gone online and searched all of Rysdale's paintings.
Ask them about it.
And
they will
trying
know.
to find it. Well, maybe, yeah. Sure.
So I'm 12 years old. My parents are in the middle of their divorce. My father is visiting with his brother, the coke fiend lawyer in Houston, Texas.
Right.
And I get shuffled down there for the summer. And one of the coffee table books that my uncle had was of, and I'm going to forget the artist's name. He was a very famous North American sculptor. It begins with an R. And it was cool. It was sort of Western art. The themes were often, so riders on horses. And I remember loving this one picture because it was this rider on a horse. The horse was rearing up from a rattlesnake, and the rider had a rope, so a lasso in his hand, and it's a bronze thing. And my uncle, bless his heart, took me to I'm going to assume it's the Houston Museum of Art. And I loved it. They had a Rodin there, and they had this statue. The statue from the coffee table book was in the museum in a glass case, but it was missing the rope, the lasso. And I remember I was like, this is wrong. This is the statue. I remember looking at it, and my uncle goes to a guard. The guard goes to a thing. We follow them. They get a curator who comes down, listens to me, and then he says, follow me. We get to go backstage in this museum, and he brings it out and he says, here it is. That they had taken it out because it wasn't in a glass case. It was freestanding. It was so fragile that to preserve it, and they said you were the only one who was noticed.
It wasn't the original.
It was the original.
Oh, but without the lasso.
But the lasso was the lasso
because it was made of real material.
It was made of real material.
Like sisal,
yeah. And somehow they had the lasso, and he said you're the only one who has noticed that the lasso is not there.
Have you had this experience that you go to a museum and you see a painting or a sculpture that you've seen in a book before,
yes,
and you think it's a huge thing,
yes,
and then you come in and it's this tiny little statue.
It's like when you
go, like the storming of the Bastille. What's that French painter?
Yes.
Maybe I'll think of his name.
We've got a fact checker.
I love these paintings.
Yeah.
And they have a special room in the Louvre where there's just his, and they're They're bigger than our background.
Yeah.
They're like 4 times the size of our background. And I walk into this room and like, oh my God, it's huge. I thought it's like 2 by 1 meters. But it's more like 8 by 6.
Yeah. Or it's like when you see the refrigerator magnet of the 2 cherubs from what is it, Titian, and then you see that whole thing and it's and it's actually it's just this little bit from this whole thing, But that's that whole thing.
So let's see what are your museum experiences here? We have this sort of traditional walk visitors through the Stadtgeschichtliches Museum here in town.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Have you been on this walk?
I have not been on this walk, and I hope the next time that we're in Leipzig that we get to go on this walk with Follower of Clay. I love that. I have a similar thing for visitors when they come, when I take them to the First District, and there's a few things that I love to show them, and I've got this little thing that I do that's nice.
You kind of regale them with made-up history.
Sometimes.
Yeah, good.
Sometimes. like the statue of Maria Theresia between the Kunsthistorische Museum and the Museum of Natural History and the Museum of Art History. There's a big statue of Maria Theresia, who was Empress of Austria. And it's this big, beautiful statue. And there was a time in the early aughties that I would go through there all the time, and I would like look at the statue with tourists looking at it, and I would ask, what time is it? And they would say, oh, it's 12:30. I was like, oh, you just missed it. Oh, right. And they would be like, why? And I say, well, it turns a quarter turn every hour. And they'd be like, what, really? And then I'd walk away.
That's very Viennese. That's a very Viennese thing to do. In fact, there's a poem by a Viennese poet.
What?
There's a poem by a Viennese poet called, I can't remember his name, but it's like, Von I an Touristen. Wenn mir einer fragt, wo ist der Stephansdom?
Okay.
Schicke ihm nicht auf die schnellste Dings dahin, sondern ich schicke ihn ganz woanders hin. Auf die Weise lernt er Wien viel besser kennen.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't get there
Ernst
from here.
Kein. I think it's Ernst Kein.
Philly Girl 1000,
What's this
camping out
Mathematica?
Overnight in Mathematica with a troupe of brownies in the Boston Museum of Science. Mathematica is a part of the Boston Museum of Science.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm.
And going there with a troupe of brownies, brownies, those are the
the little girls of the Girl Scouts.
That's right. And the Mystic Seaport. The Mystic Seaport, Philly Girl 1000, I'm gonna back you up wholeheartedly. Mystic Seaport is one of the cool. It's one of those traditional. It's a museum. It's an outdoor museum where it's like everyone there is in costume, and so you can go in and talk to the old seaman who's making a monkey's fist, and or. You can sit there and help with the awl and
fix a net
or whatever, and they'll regale you with stories and stuff. Super fucking cool.
I went on a prehistoric. This is a kind of museum thing. Mm-hmm. We went on this 3-day hike, and we slept in caves that ancient humans slept in.
Cool.
In prehistoric times.
Kind of like your hotel room in Corinthia this weekend.
Actually, this place was nicer.
Yeah, the caves were nicer.
It had nice running water and it had a view.
The caves had a view.
That was pretty awesome, actually. There was no paintings or anything like that, but we kind of went through the dirt on the ground inside the cave. Mm-hmm. Because there were so many strata of dirt in there that you could. They took a drill.
To show you the.
And that was pretty awesome. We also slept out. Oh, we had an encounter with a black mamba, which is one of the most poisonous snakes in the world, and it can follow you at 80 kilometers an hour, so there's no running away from it.
And we all learned that, of course, from Kill Bill. Black mamba.
No, I knew that before that.
I'm sure you did.
And we slept out on the top of a mountain in lion territory, and we had to keep the fire going all night so that the lions would stay away from us.
Of course you did. And that was the museum of prehistoric times.
Kind of prehistoric
That's
times.
Guile.
Museum,
I love it. I love museums. I'm a huge fan of museums. So here's my thing. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everyone in between, slurpers of It Should Be About Something. I think we need to start a museum.
What?
Yes.
We need to start a Slurpers museum.
Well, I'm not sure which museum it is yet, but I would like to tell you about my idea.
You've been sitting on this the whole time, haven't you?
I have. So when I was in Prague, I realized that there are a ton...
Wait, when were you in Prague?
Oh, this is a while ago.
Okay.
I was in Prague, and I realized that there are a ton of museums, and everybody goes to these museums, and I realized that in every city there are a ton of museums, and people go to museums, and there are so many museums that are so fucking weird that people will still go to. Have you ever been to a corkscrew museum? There are those. Have you ever been to the Museum of Myths and Legends in Prague? It's terrible, but it's there. Have you ever been to...
I've been to Prague, and half of that city is a tourist trap.
Yes.
So yes.
So there are museums of every
Ilk.
stripe and every ilk. There is a woman in Vienna who started a museum. It's by reservation only, and her museum, she collected from people around the world, sending her the little bits and circles of paper that get punched out when you use a hole punch.
Confetti.
She cataloged and categorized all of these pieces of paper,
People have too much
they
time
were
on their hands.
full moons or partial moons, whether there was printing
Very
on
pretty.
them.
Actually, that's one of my childhood games. Was opening the
hole punch
hole punch.
reserve, the hole punch catcher, the hole punch outer,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got the holes.
Yeah.
You've got, it's a collection of holes.
It's a collection
It's like
of
donut
holes,
holes.
and they look kind of like moons.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a whole
And she
moon thing,
categorized all of these things and put them into little packets and little plastic baggies and sets them up and where they come from in the world. And you can go to this museum. So I figure, here's my pitch.
All right.
We're going to start a museum and looking for, investors right now. The museum it's a museum, it's a fingernail museum. The Fingernail Museum. You go in and there's from fingernails from all over the world. It's categorized and categorized into, first finger, second finger, third finger, thumbs, some with paint on them, some with not, some that are long, some that are small. On the back of your ticket when you go to the Fingernail Museum is 20% off at the mani-pedi place just down the street. So we're constantly getting new exhibits all the time. It perpetrates itself.
But wait a minute. So this is a museum of photographs of people's fingers.
No photographs, actual fingernails in plastic baggies, just like the paper punch holes.
So you can buy them. No, they're exhibits.
They are exhibits. You cannot buy them, sir. This is for the public good. It's a museum of fingernails.
Kind of gross.
Absolutely, and people will go to it.
Grossest fingernail story I have.
Okay.
I'm doing this show.
This show? No.
I'm doing this show.
Yeah.
And it's this. The scene is everybody standing around with champagne glasses in their hands, and the technician. This is during my drama school days, right? So everybody's standing on the stage with their glasses in hand, and the light's getting set, or we're getting directions of some sort. And the tech is sitting at the desk, which is in the wings, and cutting his fingernails.
Oh no!
And he cuts this fingernail and goes, "Pink," and it flies.
And you see it in the light?
Everybody sees it fly, and it lands in one guy's champagne glass.
2 points!
It's just super gross.
I love it.
There was this, I've forgotten what his name is, and I encountered him on YouTube recently because someone in some British art group that I follow on Facebook was like, oh, does anybody remember Timothy Hart or something like that? Who was Timothy Hart? And he had this art show on TV in the 80s and showing you how to draw things.
Oh, okay, one of those dudes, yeah.
And one part of the intro was cutting a shape out of his thumbnail with a pair of scissors. And I always thought that was the grossest thing I'd ever seen.
Cutting a shape out of his
It was this really long thumbnail.
Oh, because he had a Coke thumbnail, because it was the 70s. It was a Coke nail that he would cut up every once in a while. He was growing the other one, yeah.
You see that scissors going in and cutting this long...
Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh, I've seen these photographs.
With the persons with the longest fingers, I would always have to skip over that page really fast because they were so gross.
Longest toenails. Have you seen the photographs of the longest
They're
toenails?
terrible. It's terrible. But we will get those for our museum.
But who's gonna?
It's by reservation. People will go to it.
Reservation only.
People will go to it.
Gross yourself out. Nothing will gross you out like this. This is the grossest museum.
I'm telling you, people. If we get together, we get an apartment that is on the ground floor on a street that's not on the...
In Prague. You're talking about
No,
doing this
I'm
in
talking
Prague.
about in any city.
In any city.
In any city that a slurper lives. We're going to find a really cheap ground floor apartment that is near the foot traffic, and we're going to put in a stupid museum. We'll get some kid, we'll pay him $10 an hour to open up the museum, take the tickets because the people will do the tickets online. It's $1 million idea. It's $1 million. We are going to retire.
A sucker every minute is going to come in and come and look at some shit in your museum for $10.
People go to the craziest museums.
Yeah, because the thing about museums is you have to be open.
That's
Like
why we got the kid.
If you're open 7
why
days
we
a
get the
week,
$10 an hour
24
kid.
hours a day, everybody, you'll always get people to come.
I love this.
Right.
I love this. And the last thing I need to say about this idea, because this is not only $1 million idea, and this idea is $1 million. I'm telling you.
This is
going to put us on the gravy train.
IKEA idea.
Oh no, it's not. But that's for another time. But this idea is $1 million idea because of the way we're setting up the museum as being a museum of fingernails. We can just change it out. So we could have in the same space a second museum. The kid we pay $10 an hour, all he has to do is take the fingernail boards off the wall.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's the fingernail museum.
Not even.
Wednesdays and Saturdays.
12 to 14, it's the fingernail museum. And then from 15 to 17,
it's the Museum of Music Cassettes.
No, I've got another idea for a museum. Although I like the idea of music cassettes, there's a lot of storage that you have to deal with. I mean, we can put it all onto
they're on
exhibits.
walls.
Love it. Okay, then let's have a museum of cassettes. I love it. My other idea for the museum that I already had was the Museum of Ghosts. It's a ghost, it's the, whatever city it is, it's the Ghost Museum. And it works like this. In the museum, in that ground floor apartment, we put a white dot in the middle of the floor. And then on the blank wall, where once the fingernails were hanging, but they're in the back room now, there's a big story. And the story is about a woman who used to live in that apartment. And she died a terrible, terrible death. And ever since then, some people, if they stand on that white dot and look at this wall, they will see the Gray Lady. People are so going to go to that museum. And some of them will even see the Gray Lady. And we pay the kid $10 an hour, and the rest of us sit back and count our money. I'm telling you, baby, $1 million idea.
I went to
Comos, baby.
I went to another museum 2 years ago in South Africa.
Finish that.
Which is, it's an outdoor museum. It's a museum of early
human history.
Human history,
like prehistory.
And it's in one of the biggest caves, the Kango caves.
Super cool.
And we're walking through these caves.
Yeah.
And there's this woman in front of us, and there's these crystals hanging down from the roof. Because you said somebody's gonna see the Gray Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She felt the healing power of those crystals.
Fuck.
Did she?
So she had her mouth open the whole time, jabba,
yeah.
jabba, 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 and then she's like got her hand up to these crystals. She's like, "Oh, can you just feel the power?
I can feel it.
Can't you just feel that?" And I'm like,
I want to feel the power. I want to feel the power.
And we're behind her like, fuck, we wish we had earphones or something.
So
or
funny.
A bat with nails in it. Oh, man.
MoMA was closed. MoMA's nice.
What's MoMA?
The Museum of Modern Art in New York.
Ah.
Old Seaman, yeah. Haha, Marcus, I like it.
But are we actually
Yeah, we're...
tour of buildings and fell off the roof?
Father Clay is going to take us on a small tour of themed around buildings. I nearly fell off the roof.
Right, I want to go on that tour.
Yeah, I'd go on that one. Andrea hated the Neues Museum in Berlin. Yeah, but the Post Museum in Berlin, the Museum of Post, like the postal
service,
is amazing.
I've not been.
Really very good. Mm-hmm. Really very, very good.
Tours to be had. Yes, good. Okay.
Museums are kind of like my limbs. Broken?
When she gets there, they're broken.
Yeah.
They're not open.
That's right. There is a mustard museum in Bautzen.
Damn, I want to go to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the mustard museum.
I'm telling you, any museum.
That's good.
That's why I will take the cassette museum. People will go to these places.
So good. So you come in and you get a whole. You get
the history of of mustard.
Nobody cares about that.
Of course they do. You gotta have
sausages, and you get to try all the mustard.
That's at the end because they pay for that shit. That's at the end. You got to have that at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that close? Okay.
Mustard museum. I want to go to the mustard museum. That's on my list. That's Bautzner Senfmuseum. Damn.
Dan B.
Dan B.
Dan B in the house. Nice.
5 kilogram
Me in
bucket.
Dresden, I like the pioneer type where they make candles and bread and furniture. Yes, Machado, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's like the Mystic Seaport is exactly like that. There was another one in Massachusetts when I was a kid we would go to. It was like Williamsport or I don't know, something like that. And it was like one of those colonial villages. There's one in Maine I went to years and years ago, a museum that was an outdoor, like one of those museums where it was run by the Shakers, who are famous for their chairs. Also the Bread and Puppet Museum of the Bread and Puppet Theater Company way up in Vermont. That was an amazing museum. God, there's so many good museums.
Went to this museum in Cape Town. There's the original fort that the Dutch built in Cape Town. And they come in every day at 12 and shoot the noonday cannon.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's pretty cool too.
Father of Clay says...
But because it's in a courtyard, right?
Yeah.
They shoot the noonday cannon in a courtyard.
Yeah.
So they can't shoot a real...
No.
Full-on size cannon. The real full-on size cannon's up on Signal Hill, right?
They shoot the...
But they've got this little... No, they've got this cannon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a real brass cannon.
Yeah.
And it's a couple of 100 years old.
Yeah.
But it's this big, so they carry it in,
So sweet.
put it down, stuff
The
it.
ritual, so good.
Boom!
Boom.
It's this big.
Father of Clay is saying he's got a whole collection of fingernails already.
Yuck.
Yeah, it's gross. I went to high school with this girl,
Jim doesn't need to drink to be gross.
and she was one of those girls who I think I remember later in life seeing that, she became like this really cool politician. I want to say she was a politician. She was very smart. In any case, she was one of those girls that in high school, she kept all of her fingernails in a little white box that had a cross on it.
Why?
Yeah, because she was weird. Like Father of Clay, who keeps all of his fingernails. What was drinking?
Wait a minute. I have a whole collection. He doesn't say it's his fingernails.
Oh, that's right. Whose fingernails are they?
Somebody else's fingernails.
Father of Clay, what are you doing? His visions are worsening.
Oh boy, was it aftershave?
I have no idea.
He was drinking aftershave.
I guess so.
Were you drinking aftershave?
I must have been.
We
Yeah.
shouldn't be drinking aftershave.
No. Yeah, I wonder what he was on. Was I telling a crazy story?
I think you probably were.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a whole 15 minutes where I just kind of phased out and just let you talk
I thank you for that.
during this show.
Oh, is that what you do? And they're all his. They're all Father of Clay's fingernails. So I'm going to say yuck again.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
Collecting fingernails is gross, whether they're yours or somebody else's. Fingernail museum is super gross. Like toenail museum. What's the grossest museum? What is the grossest? Okay, here, Bazzers. What is the grossest museum?
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to know what the grossest museum is. Only the pinkies. Now he's being special.
Yeah. It's his coke nails. Having that long coke nail.
Yeah, coke nails.
I don't know what the grossest museum
nails
is.
are gross.
And I don't know if anybody of our people are going to know what the grossest museum is. I think we spent a ton of time on this and we're already craziness. So I think we should move on. That was chapter 2.
What is your favorite museum? Like
My
off the top of your head.
favorite museum? I really have always enjoyed, I've never had a bad time at, what's the museum called in Linz?
Oh, Ars Electronica?
No?
The other one on the on the
river.
On the river.
I've never had a bad time
Lentos.
there. The Lentos. I've never had a bad time at the Lentos.
That time we went there and they had that huge.
That artistic company that made the big balloon things and the weird rooms, and we were jumping around on that thing.
But it was,
We've got
it was
pictures.
like a huge
wrestling ring, but it was bouncy.
That was so much fun. That was one of the best museum days ever. Mm-hmm. But that was also the best Lentos exhibition I've ever been to.
Oh, I've seen some other. Yeah. There's been some good ones there. I think the most beautiful museum I ever went to was in Bilbao,
which is in Portugal.
Guggenheim. Yeah, the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. That was built by Giri and gorgeous. And I saw that artist who makes the big metal walls with the different that you walk through. That sort of does the same thing with physical space that the Kafka Museum did with light and movement. Super cool. Anyway, that's museums. If you want to get in on the ground floor of an ISBAZ museum, you should go to the ISBAZ HQ, which is ISBAZ headquarters, and that's on our Facebook group. That is our Facebook group.
Yeah.
And
it's where all the planning takes place. Like all the conspiratorial things, how we take over the world, how we make the world be about something.
Yeah. That's where it's like the dark room around the oak table when somebody says, "You're all specialists in your field."
Fingernails.
You.
Toenails.
Fingernails.
Eyelashes.
You. Bombs. Whatever it is. That's where we'll get it all done.
I was going to say butt cracks, but...
Butt cracks.
Whatever.
You're in charge of butt cracks. But that's chapter 2.
At butt cracks.
Jesus Christ. Butt cracks. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's have a word to our sponsor. That's how professional we are. Incredibly professional.
And
we're back.
we also review things.
Oh yeah. We review things now.
That's right. We do review things now. And today we are reviewing Lindsberg Asia Terme.
Cue the visual.
Okay, so the Lindsberg Asia Terme basically wants to tell you that it's this Asian-themed wellness hotel type thing, and it's very classy, very special, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, it isn't.
So, before we start this review, full disclosure, both Michael and I have experienced this place, and we are going to be as honest as possible. Because we review things now.
Right. So,
Asia Lindsberg in Bad Erlach.
I'm going to say this is what my general impression of the place is.
Okay.
Basically, it's not bad. They've got some nice saunas, they've got some nice big pools, all of the stuff is okay, the food is not bad. The rooms, yeah, you gotta get used to the fact that you don't actually have a bathroom. It's kind of like the toilet's in your room and you can hear people doing their thing in the room. It's a little bit weird.
If you are not comfortable pooping in or around your partner,
yeah,
then bring headphones.
It's weird.
Because you're gonna need them.
It's weird.
It's weird.
So having said that it's all kind of nice. It's okay. Fine. It's okay. But the thing is, and this is the real kicker for me.
Yeah.
That if you're going there and you're staying in the hotel, you're paying hotel prices which are pretty elevated.
Exorbitant.
And
exorbitant.
The thing is that this Lindsberg Asia Terme is open to the public. So everything that you're getting for several hundred euros a night, everybody else is getting for 45 euros a day. And there is no, like, I mean, on their website it says, yeah, there's this exclusive place for the in-house guests and stuff, but it's not exclusive at all. It's like the air vent of the hotel. You're on a little courtyard the size of a postage stamp. There's no green, there's no light. It's all plastic. So
let's break it down.
If you want to go, like that is the space that you don't want to spend any time for. But any time in, but that is the space that you're spending all those hundreds of euros to have. And the rest of the space that is kind of nice is full of people who come in on a day trip, which kind of ruins the whole idea of going to an exclusive
exactly
wellness hotel.
So what then you end up doing is paying a premium just to be next to a thing that is not that very expensive.
Exactly. You could drive out for a day, get a day ticket, and you'd have exactly the same experience. And you wouldn't have to eat there. You wouldn't have to sleep there and listen to your partner poop.
Poop.
You wouldn't spend all that money.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's no point in actually staying in that hotel.
There really isn't. I mean, the rooms are fine,
But they're not great.
but they're not great. And the food is fine.
I don't remember the food, so
But
I'm going to say it's
not
mediocre.
Great. And the bar, interestingly, while I was there, also, on top of that, everybody that's at the hotel, they're all couples.
Yeah, that's kind of typical for wellness, though.
Which is typical for wellness. Which means, though, that after dinner, the bar, if you don't go back into the Tama, which is filled with
Day trippers.
day trippers now,
Who are drunk.
and if you don't do that, then you're hanging out the bar, but nobody cares about anything because everyone's just like, it's been so long since we've had some time together, and I'm really glad to be having this time with you, and let's talk deeply about our relationship for a while. That would be really nice. It's just that there's no way to get any sort of Stimmung going in the bar.
Right.
Which is maybe not what you are looking for, but if that's the only alternative,
Yes.
then it's sort of like,
Yeah. So
yeah.
every Taman wellness hotel that I've been to so far has a bar, and some of them have live music.
Yeah, one night there was live music. A dude played piano. He was great. He was fine.
But it's nobody gets involved.
No.
And my wife and I have danced in these bars a couple of times and got applause. I mean, we don't dance well as a couple,
No,
right?
they do not dance
she's
well.
a professional dancer, and I kind of make it up as I'm going along. So that's kind of what it looks like. But we're the only people dancing.
Yeah.
So it's like when we go and dance, it's the musicians applaud because they're so glad that something's going on.
Something's happening.
Right.
Yeah. We went down the second night after the piano guy was there and played a game on the table that we brought with us. We were that couple that sat at the table with our drinks, slowly getting stoned, playing our Trizio Nomino, and it was really nice.
Yeah, well,
But-
I think
But that's what it was, which is fine.
whatever.
It gave us that feeling of okay.
It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to do, but
We review things now.
if you're paying a premium, you want to
Exactly.
have premium.
You want to have premium shit.
Yeah.
And that was, unfortunately, and please hear us, Asia Lindsberg, although I know you won't because apparently your model is working very well for you.
I think actually, I think they're one of those hotels that would like to be something else,
Yeah.
but they're stuck on this model.
Yeah.
And leaving this model means risking losing their income.
Yeah. And they would have to
they've-
do some
because
stuff
because
for
they've
it.
already fucked up their status with everybody who would go to that kind of
Yeah.
hotel if it were exclusive. Like, I don't think they get people going there a second time.
Yeah. I will
don't think
never
anybody
go there
goes there
a second time. So, would you ever go there again?
No. I've been there once, and it was years ago. And
Ask
I would
me.
never. Would you go there again?
No, I've been there once.
Would we give them how many points? How many slurps would we give them out of 50?
I don't want to encourage anyone to do the first run at them. I would encourage people to go and say, I'm going to do a day trip there. You go in the morning, you hang out in the thing and understand that there's going to be a lot of people there.
Right.
And then maybe go to the hotel and have that candlelight dinner.
Totally. This is what they have going.
That would
for
be
them.
fine.
They are reachable from Vienna. Like it's only a half hour's drive.
It's
easy to find. Like there's a signpost on the autobahn. You just need to turn off, and you're.
We went there completely with öffentliche Verkehr.
Brilliant.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Excellent. Right. Absolutely wonderful. And it was not a long trip.
But don't sleep over.
Less than an hour.
Yeah.
But do not pay them any money to stay there.
Stay at your own place, and if you need a second day of wellness, then take
go home and come back.
Trip somewhere else. No, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sleep at home.
Go
and
to
take
the 10th
train,
district.
Go to the 10th district, or out to I think it's Weidhofen an der Thaya. They have a nice place there as well. I've been there.
I will do, however, I would like to shout out Doris. Die Doris in Bad Erlach by Asia Lindsberg. She gave me the nicest Gesichtsbehandlung and massage that I have had in a very long time. She was attentive, she was funny, she was very einfühlsam. I loved her.
Cool.
Big shout out to Doris.
Good.
Was killing it.
So get a facial at Lindsberg Asia from Doris.
Go get a facial at Lindsberg Asia. Yeah.
Okay. Slurps out of 50?
I do not want to encourage anyone, so I'm going to give them a 10 slurps out of 50.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 10 slurps out of 50.
Yeah.
Okay, Lindsberg Asia, 10 slurps out of 50. Do better next time. Like, I don't know, rethink your model. I don't know. I think there's lots of Luft nach oben.
Lots of
Lindsberg
Luft nach
Asia.
oben in Lindsberg Asia.
Cool.
All right.
Moving on to chapter 3.
Dang. The show's just flying by.
Dooby-dooby-doo. And I think this is really good because you've already talked about being on public transport. Slurpers.
Slurpers. Hey, slurpers. Let's have a slurp.
Cool. I think I'm working hard at drinking fast and getting drunk really quickly. So.
Dang. Smulik. Am I keeping up with him?
Hit me.
I guess I am. We won't be able to do this next week.
You said you took public transport out to public transport.
I took public transport. I was a Schwein on wheels.
Good.
Metal wheels. I took public transport the entire way there and the entire way back. Boom.
I totally congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
It's good. Yeah, it's excellent. Your next set of wheels. Like you don't actually own a set of wheels at this point, do you?
I do own a set of wheels.
Own a set of wheels.
I live in the future.
You live in the future, yeah.
A whole bunch of friends got together and gave me an e-scooter. I don't know if I've showed you this or have talked about it yet, but I love it very much. It was the perfect gift.
It has all the trimmings. It does everything.
It's fast and it's awesome.
And it's electric.
And I love it.
And it's black. It's in black. It's very stylish.
It's so cool. I live in the future.
But this is your first set of wheels that you own for a long time.
It is truly the first. It is the first set of wheels I have owned in a very long time.
Yeah. So, like the last time you owned a set of wheels was when you lived in the United States, which is like
not true. Not quite true.
25 years ago.
Not quite true. I owned. It was given to me by an ex-girlfriend. Gave to me one of those French cars, a Twingo, a Renault Twingo. A Renault Twingo that Valerie gave to me.
This is actually not so long ago.
This is
10 years.
At least. going to be 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a while.
Okay, yeah.
I owned that for 1 year.
Right. That was a rust bucket.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, I'm getting there. Yes, but it's been a very long time since I've owned some wheels, and I love these wheels.
You haven't actually been someone who owns wheels on a regular basis, like in the last 25 years.
No, not at all.
Like
because in Vienna you don't need
regular
it.
basis.
This is the pair of wheels that I've owned. I had a bike for a very short time. I had David Rawa's car, who had gotten it from somebody else for a while.
That cabriolet.
It wasn't a cabriolet. No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it was a left-hand drive, or it was a right-hand drive car, and because it had English plates, it was a
left-hand drive.
It was a Vauxhall.
It was a right-hand drive.
It was a Vauxhall right-hand drive Vauxhall sedan, and I had that for a little more than 6 months. And what was great about it was that at that time, England and Austria didn't have an Abkommen, and they didn't have an agreement about parking tickets. And so I could park it anywhere.
Lucky bugger. I just got 196 euros worth of parking fines from Italy. Yeah.
Where do you park to get a fine?
No, actually, it's not parking tickets. I didn't realize it, but I drove through a pedestrian zone in Little Venice.
Okay.
And like, the doorbell rings and it's the postman, and I'm like, well, what? And he's like, yeah, you need to sign for these.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, and it was 82 euros a pop or something like that. Right. Because they got me driving in and they got me driving out on a camera.
Yeah.
So it was like, fuck. 10:42 I drove in and 10:47 I drove out, and I got photographed both times.
It was definitely you, yeah. All right, here's our slurp.
Cheers.
Slurp.
So,
okay.
I want to say this was my topic, because wheels and what kind of vehicle you drive and what kind of vehicle you own is a topic that's close to my heart.
I agree.
Because I'm a motorcyclist. I'm not so much of a car enthusiast these days anymore, because times change, and I'm not sure how my motorcycle enthusiasm is going to change in the future.
Well, if Philly Girl 1000 ever gets you buttonholed in a corner, which I hope she will very soon in 2022, she will definitely bend your ear about motorcycle use in the future, especially when your twins come. This is the woman who kept me from ever learning how to ride a motorcycle, because she took me to the hospital to show me the quadriplegics.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Philly Girl.
There's all that, but Philly Girl also comes from a culture that is not a motorcycle culture.
Oh,
right? It's a car driving culture.
She comes from
motorcycle is the kind of bad boy.
No, she's a nurse.
I know she's a nurse, but there are cultures where riding motorcycle or riding a two-wheeled motorized form of transport, like Italy,
gang und gäbe.
Exactly, like Italy or anywhere in the Far East. Or New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's about how you ride.
Yeah.
And how accepted the fact is that there are going to be two-wheeled vehicles on the road, right?
Totally
so
get that.
It's a lot about.
Get that.
It's not about
the culture you are. Yeah. One of my best friends when I was growing up, he came from a motorcycle family. We've talked about him before. My buddy Troy Bennett, who is a wonderful journalist and photographer and musician. And his whole family, was always on motorcycles. So I totally get that. I'm just saying, in 2022, when hopefully Philly Girl 1000 comes, she is definitely going to bend you ear for that. And there's no way around it. And you are going to sit there, and you're going to listen, and you are going to be very polite about it.
I'm going to be polite. The cool thing today, actually, on the subject of two-wheeled transportation was, I was waiting. There's a flower shop in the ground floor of the building I live in.
In the shop. Oh yeah.
They have one of the garages out back.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the garage because I had some wood lying outside, and I was like, oh, I like that wood. I wonder whether they're giving it away, and they were. So I waited for the guy, and I found there's a 1995 Virago 500cc parked in there.
So many words that I don't understand.
Yeah, and it's nice looking.
What color is it?
But it's covered in dust. It is a kind of golden brown.
A dusty golden brown
Covered in
motorcycle?
dust, so
Cool.
Somebody's been riding that.
Oh.
Rode that for a while, but it's been parked down there for a long, like it's between the boxes.
Yeah. So is the idea of what is your next set of wheels? Are we asking the folks in the chat, what would be your next set of wheels?
Yeah.
If you had your druthers.
Yeah. If you had your dream, and if politics and ecology and our idea of how we're going to be mobile in the future moved along, what would your ideal situation be?
Unicorn. I want to ride a unicorn.
Talking about anal penetration. Oh, you're going to sit on the back of the unicorn, not on its head. You're going to sit on its head?
There's a camera at the tip of that thing.
If the unicorn likes you, then its horn exudes drugs that make you feel good.
Make my butt not so sensitive. Why is my butt so sensitive? It's not sensitive anymore because I ride the unicorn. It's not a euphemism. Okay, what is your next set of wheels? Michael, if you had your druthers, what would be your next set of wheels?
If I had my druthers, then we would no longer own vehicles privately.
I hear you.
We would just do away with everybody owning their own fucking vehicle and parking on the street and wasting space and wasting resources.
I love all of those things. I don't want to get too far into it before we go there.
Rent that shit. Rent that shit.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it, Michael. Just give me 2 seconds because before we go down that road, because all of the pluses are there. The only minus is who are we renting it from? That's the only thing that weirds me out about it because
Are we renting it from Amazon?
I love everything about autonomous cars. I love the fact once we figure out the fucking fusion thing, which they keep getting closer to, or whatever it is.
Fission, you mean? The cold fission thing.
Meine Lieben.
Right, yeah.
As soon as we can get fucking electricity worked out, then there is no need for it. There is no need to own the car. We send them along their way. We don't need parking places anymore. We can do that. I get it. I love all of that. But my only concern is who are we renting it from? And what I don't understand is why, when Uber became huge, and Uber, if you had asked me this question, what's your next set of wheels? If you had asked me that 10 years ago, I would have said Uber.
Right.
I was one of the early adopters of it and one of the early levers of it.
Why'd you leave?
Because it turned to shit.
Right.
And
why'd it turn to shit?
Because their business model is completely fucked.
Yeah.
And because they helped to change the laws in Austria and just made everything worse.
Yeah. But they made everything worse globally.
Globally. And they made everything worse everywhere they went.
Yeah.
And so I,
Except for themselves.
But the idea of it would have been great, right? The idea of it was terrific. At the beginning, it was wonderful. That whole first wave of intention was great. So if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said Uber is my next set of wheels.
Right.
I'm not going to say that anymore. I would love it to be autonomous vehicles, but who is it coming from? Why haven't local communities taken the technology of Uber and just applied it to a co-op of their own? Why can't we have a Vuber, Vienna Uber? And it's maybe it's even still, I mean, I know that the laws have changed and the fucking taxi The whole block of taxis have made it so that there's no way to have any competition in the price, which is fine. Okay, fine, fuck them. But use the same use the same technology and make it community-based instead of centralized-based. This is my play to yay.
You mean privately owned?
Instead of having a privately owned system that we would rent the autonomous cars from, it should be a public service exactly like the
any other
U-Bahn.
public transport.
Absolutely. This is my only thing is that I want it to be a community service.
I think that's like an ideal that we are headed for. I hope, where with your public transport ticket, your transit ticket, you buy 25 hours of
fuck it.
Rent a car.
I hear you.
Per year. That's included in your transit ticket, and you can add on to that if you want to use more rent a car.
Yeah.
Because not everybody needs a rent a car.
Yeah.
But I think that
you get your Klima ticket with Zusatzpaket.
With Zusatzpaket kind of thing, right?
Because you live in Vienna, and instead of
if you live somewhere else and you need more of that, then whatever. Or I mean, sometimes you just.
But
need
if it was
sometimes you just need a
owned by
car.
the people, I just want to make sure that it's not. That's the whole thing with metaverse. You know, in 1996, 97, when was it? When fucking Neil Stephenson came up with metaverse. You know, I don't trust fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
To be the arbiter of space.
No. Yeah.
And I don't want to have Swinger Club NRC. Where the hell you been all our lives? Airbus flying fucking taxis. Yes. I think we need to make sure that shit is
so you've
for
actually
the
taken
community.
this whole thing a whole step further.
I'm sorry.
Like you're not only about like what's your next wheel's going to be, but like how is it going to be politically? How who's going to be making money of this? And you're going for the whole structural idea.
I was just
how we're
expounding.
going to integrate this into our.
I'm just expounding on your idea. If our next wheels are going to be autonomous vehicles, I'm so behind it.
No, I never said anything about autonomous vehicles. That was your thing.
Oh well, you were talking about your next wheels are going to be shared vehicles of some sort. Yeah,
definitely shared vehicles.
Yeah, and my thing is absolutely the step beyond that is once we have autonomous vehicles.
You want to go somewhere.
The autonomous vehicles are going to be shared.
You can, and then get that autonomous vehicle to take you home.
Take you home. Siri, take me home, please. And that should be a thing.
Yeah.
A 72 Impala. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her. I wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6'4" Impala. A 72 Impala is pretty nice. I don't know anything about cars, but I do like those cars between 1968 and 1972. And I like the Plymouths. I like the Roadrunner. I like it because, and the only reason I know it is because of my mom's mom. She also had a sister. I had cousins from that sister, and they were super into cars. They owned a taxi company. I had some good cars from them. I've owned a lot of cars in my life. For somebody who hasn't had a set of wheels for 25 years, I've owned a lot of cars.
Yeah.
6'4" Impala.
Yeah, I'm a big friend of those like late 60s, early 70s. The whole, like, particularly
when cars looked like something?
When cars actually looked like something. Whether they
not
were
the same.
US or French or German.
Beautiful.
Every car had, every company had its own specific styling. You could tell from the styling of a vehicle.
Who was that?
Who the company was.
Saab
and
people
these days,
wave.
What?
Saabs.
Yeah.
Saab people wave. You saw that in the when you got the book.
Yeah.
One of the first lines. Saab people wave.
And these days you drive down the Autobahn and all the cars look the same, and you can only tell them apart when you get close enough to see
their fucking logo.
The logo, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real pity.
But if Swinger Club NRC had anything to do with it, we would be all in Airbus flying taxis. You know, they had Uber helicopter for a while. I remember, because I was talking.
But what a fucking freak show. So some poor dick has to go and buy his own helicopter, which he pays the upkeep for on his own, and then he kind of rents it out to the company that doesn't really pay him enough to make that whole thing work. Ah, man, fuck him.
I think Uber helicopter was more of a Werbegag. They did it in London for a while, and they did it in Cannes for the festival for a while, and it was like $400.
Fuck those guys.
But the idea of it, the idea of being able to fly somewhere, an electric Trabi, fuck yeah. I would be so into an electric Trabi.
So I'd like to have my 1984 Virago.
Yeah.
In electric.
Absolutely.
I'd like to take that chassis to a mechanic and say, get rid of the combustion engine and put in an electric.
Okay, so here's the thing. I understand that people want to have aerodynamically enhanced and engineered cars. I get that because of the low drag. They look like shit. At this point, the problem with turning fueled cars into electric cars, that's the biggest problem. That's why GM and everyone are behind Tesla, because Tesla is from house, it's an electric car.
Their cars look like shit. But okay, GM's cars look like shit these days as well.
Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the fact that there are cars that are converted and there are cars that are made for.
Yeah.
And if we can start getting those made for cars in such a way that you just put a fucking chassis on it. I understand there are crumple and all that stuff, and there are some wonderful videos out there to see how 1992 cars crumple as opposed to 2002 cars crumple as opposed to 22 cars.
If it's just putting the body on, you can put the crumple in there.
That's what I'm saying. And now we can get
so you
past...
can order any car you want.
Exactly.
From any era. You can order a 1923 Ford V8.
It's a platform that is a battery with the thing.
Let's
put the Trabi on top of it.
Yes.
Fuck it. If we could get 3D printing far along enough,
yes,
you could fucking just print that shit.
All you do is order the chassis with a drive and you print your own fucking thing to go on top.
Faller of Clay. I had 3 Trabis. It's, let's say I'm not a fan. I totally get you.
Yeah.
I totally get you.
Yeah.
I owned 2
but the styling's
Volkswagen.
kind of nice.
But it would be awesome if that shit worked and you just...
Yeah.
I'm telling you, people.
Okay, so here's what my problem with this show is that I drink too quickly and I need to take a pee. Like every show so far in the past shows, I take a pee. I'm not going to hold it in. I'm going to go and take a pee now.
Yeah, because usually you would hold it until the end and then you would come back.
I'm not fucking holding it anymore.
But it's because our shows are too long now.
How long is the show now?
We're almost at 2. We're at 150. We have no discipline. All right. I wish I had something that I could, fill y'all in on while Michael's gone. But we're talking about your next set of wheels. We haven't heard a bunch from everybody on the chat. I love Faller of Clay telling us that you guys are cyclists to the bone. That's one of the reasons I love my e-scooter, because it's like a bicycle, but I don't arrive sweaty. I hate arriving sweaty to places. It's one of the reasons I got rid of my bicycle in the city, because during the warm weather when you can really ride it and have fun with it, I would always arrive sweaty and I hate it. But I like my e-scooter that way. Anyway, that's chapter 3, and when you think about what your next set of wheels might be, maybe you can think about something that's going to be nice for the environment.
Well, my next set of wheels is kind of nice for the environment because it's a pram. It's a twin pram.
Okay, can we talk quickly about this idea? Because I know fucking prams are goddamn expensive.
Yes.
The margin on prams is way more than the margin that even Asia Lindsberg has.
Probably.
Are you like all over the Geizhals? Are you all over the Wilhaben? Are you all over? How Is there a twin? I mean, I know Christine is definitely on one of those Facebook twin groups.
She is.
She is. I think we talked about it last time. So, are there places out there where you can buy used
Yes.
twin prams?
Definitely. You can do all of that.
Okay.
But mom-in-law came through and she bought us a pram. She gave us cash to buy a pram.
Okay, because those things are costing.
Fucking, it's in.
I mean, we're talking 1,000 plus. We're talking, yeah. Okay, well, Grandma, good on you. I know you don't watch her show, but shout out.
Yeah,
Good job.
We don't have. We ordered it. It's in.
Is it one of those like one finger steering
The
cushions?
steering on this pram is better than the steering on any car I've ever owned.
Ever, yeah. And the technology on that shit is amazing.
It's like click in, click out. It's like click.
I cannot wait.
Put the babies in, take them out again, change the seats.
Shut up. You can you have them look at you and then just then have them look. God damn it! I love it.
And they come with a little red convertible bit. Yeah.
Whenever
It's
anybody
really
says
nice.
the word pram,
No, this is not a pram.
this is a fucking.
This is I don't know.
It's like a Lamborghini. No, it's like a Rolls Royce. No, it's like one of those.
It's not a pram.
It's
I
an
remember
experience.
what prams
It's
were.
not a museum. It's an experience.
It's yeah.
Whenever anybody
quite
says
sure
the
what
word
the word is.
pram, I always flash to the interview that an interview with Rod Stewart.
Ah.
And Rod Stewart tells the story. The interviewer asks him. He says, "You just got married recently, didn't you?"
Again.
And Rod Stewart says, "Yes." And the interviewer says, "And she's quite a bit younger than you, isn't she?"
And quite a bit taller.
And he says, "Yes, she is." And he says, "When I was 19 years old, I wrote my first hit, which was Maggie, Maggie May." And it's weird to think that in that year when I was touring, after the Faces or with the Faces, that I could have looked into somebody's pram and said, "I'm going to marry you someday." And then the whole audience laughs, and they move on with the interview.
Yeah.
But every time somebody says pram, I always think of
You
that.
think of that. Do you know what pram is short for?
Preambulator?
Perambulator.
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 You just got
Perambulator.
factoided. You're welcome.
A perambulator.
Wait. How do you
You
spell?
got factoided there.
Yeah,
Perambulator.
how do you spell that?
Parabulator.
P-A-R-A.
Yeah.
Right.
Param. P-A-R-A.
Perambulator. Yeah.
Perambulator.
I got factoided, but I knew it.
Yeah.
But a perambulator is a really nice word. almost as good
I think perambulator
as-
describes something that kind of moves around. So it's for moving things or people around.
What's your favorite word for just taking a stroll?
Taking a stroll. But I have another factoid for you.
Oh shit, okay.
Do you know what pocket screws are?
Pocket screws. I know what a pocket... I think I know what's a pocket screw?
What do you think a pocket screw is?
I think a pocket screw is a screw that has been put into a hole which has been countersunk so that it goes into the pocket of that piece of wood.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
What's a pocket
A
screw?
pocket screw is when you disassemble something that has been assembled previously and then reassemble it and you're left with screws. They're the screws that are left over and go in your pocket. Those are pocket screws.
Like
You
the,
just got factoided. You're welcome.
like the screw I found when I was on the roller coaster, the Cyclone in
Ooh, God, that's not a pocket screw.
I was like,
Where does this go, Mom?
I know this should go somewhere. Whoa, let's go. Cluck, 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 cluck. Okay, that's a pocket screw. I see.
And I was
All right.
reminded
I
of
like
this
it.
today because I was we bought a secondhand baby's bed, and I took it apart and cleaned it and then put it back together, and I was left with 3 extra screws. I was like, well, that's not, it's a lot of screws for a simple thing like that, but I'll take it. I did then figure out where the screws go.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everyone in between. See, I can still do it. We've come to the end of chapter 3.
This has
on
been
your
Isbaz
next set of wheels.
number 58.
This has been Isbaz number 58.
Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022. And according to people who know, there's going to be a second Thursday, the 13th, this year, sometime in October.
Let's pray that we make it that far.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that next week we'll be around.
We'll be around, yeah.
We're going to be here.
So Jim's kind of doing a flying,
I got everything.
jump into the studio.
Next Thursday, I've got everything happening. I have got a doctor appointment. I have got a meeting. I've got another meeting. I have got a presentation, and then
we should decide on topics accordingly.
Yeah, but next week we'll be around.
Cool, good. Then
that's all I care about.
Let's call it a day.
I think we should.
I think we should.
I think that was perhaps
the best Isbaz ever.
I think it really was the best Isbaz ever.
If we keep going for a minute and a half, it's going to be the longest as well.
Well, then we should keep going for a minute and a half.
Fuck that shit. We're out of here.
Okay, no. We're going to go 1 minute and a half. It's going to end. Verena says, always wanted to ride a Harley, had a scooter accident, always wanted to drive a 911, drove it.
Oh, 911 Porsche.
Yeah, of course. Her last boyfriend, a car dealer, drove 911s, quite a few, really not wheels for Austrian roads. What? They should be for every Austrian roads. And if you're, oh God, Verena, we need to get that girl together. Listen, let's say a big shout out to Verena.
Okay,
everybody.
So here's my thing.
What?
Here's my thing. There's this thing called Hertz Classic Rentals. You can rent classic vehicles.
Let's do that.
This is brilliant.
We're gonna have an Isbaz meetup.
Isbaz Hertz Classic Rental.
We rent a car. We take a ride up to the Kahlenberg. We look down at the city. We take a picture and we ride back.
Something like that.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say
we drive somewhere for lunch.
I love it.
Yeah.
Machado loves her old beat up 2005 wheels. Yeah.
If you don't even know what make the 2005 wheels are, that's exactly correct.
And you can dream about what your next set of wheels are going to be. Let's shout out.
My next set of wheels is going to be not self-owned and electric.
It's going to be what? Not self-owned?
Not self-owned.
Ah, it's not going to be self-owned.
Rented and electric. Yeah.
Self-owned. Self-owned.
Self-owned.
Not self-owned and electric. I love it. If we can, let's get a company that's just going to put bodies onto electric cars. All right, let's say goodnight and let's say thank you to Verena. Everybody,
enough of cars. Wave at Verena.
Everybody wave to Verena. Verena wave to the screen. Let's say goodnight to Machado. Let's say goodnight to
Follower of Clay.
Let's say goodnight to Dan B.
Swinger Club NRC.
Let's say goodnight to Philly Girl.
And people who we've already said goodnight to.
Yeah, let's keep going. Who else we got here? We got Machado. We got and
that's kind of it.
Dan B. Marcos. Let's say goodnight to Marcos.
Old seaman.
Yeah. What are your wheels gonna be?
He sold his motorcycle.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Crazy.
He reminds me of it every now and again.
Yeah. Philly Girl, what's your next set of wheels gonna be? We want to know. And that's it. I think, no, it's so hard to, I don't know why it's so hard to scroll here.
It's so hard to have a good time these days.
So hard. Christina Lasmulik, what's your next set of wheels? A perambulator, I bet.
Yeah.
Hey, Debazio Rapesh. We'll pretend you're not a robot if you tell us if your next set of wheels are vumong. That's what his next set of wheels sound like. Vumong, vumong. Okay, that's it. That's it. Thank you all very, very much. We are going to return next week in the between times, between now and next week. Check out the ISBAZ HQ. That is our funky Facebook group. The link is in the description.
Yeah, go and post some photographs that you were inspired to post by the show in the HQ. And Machado, please post your cotton reel machines
We need
on the
this.
carpet. We need this.
We definitely
need this.
We definitely need this.
Yeah.
Best ISBAZ ever?
I fucking reckon.
Fuck it. All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everybody in between, that was ISBAZ. Hug it out.
Remember, no matter how tough the topic or what it was about, even if you disagree, you can always hug it out.
Hug it out.
Hug it out, definitely.
Hug it out.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Post-credit thingy. Michael, do you know Miss Susie had a steamboat, the steamboat had a bell, Miss Susie said went to heaven, the steamboat went to hell. Oh, operator, give me number 9. If you disconnect me, I'll cut off your behind the refrigerator. There was a piece of glass, Miss Susie sat upon it and cut her big fat. Ask me no more questions, I'll tell you no more lies. The boys are in the bathroom playing with their flies are in the, I don't, do you know?
We had one that went, have you seen the giraffe? And I can't remember.
Do you know the weight? Post